You right guys, welcome back to another video, and I apologise if there's any background sounds such as construction sounds from over that way, vehicles passing from behind me, and wind noise from all around. There's only so much you can do. And also, I haven't got my glamorous camera assistant Alana with me today, unfortunately, so you just start with me. Anyway, onto this video, and in this video I'm going to be doing like a little mini review type thing of these Falken Wildpeak all-terrain tyres, and to give them their exact name, Falken Wildpeak A/T AT3WA, rolls off the tongue nicely. I'm going to be calling them Falken Wildpeaks, or just Wildpeaks in general if you don't mind, much easier to say. I personally think that tyres are the most important, I'd call it, investment you can buy for your car. I personally say buy decent, even though tyre prices are crazy. If you can, buy good quality rubber, don't buy cheap rubber, especially if you plan to get a Freelander 2 or you have a Freelander 2 and you plan to take it off-road, or you do off-roading, let's say, delete as applicable in there, because yeah, cheap rubber could let you down when you go off-road and leave you high and dry. No one needs that. So yeah, buy decent quality rubber. Bit of history, we started off on this car with Goodyear Wranglers, the all-season road variety flavour, what you want to call it. Then we moved from them, we've still got them, but we moved on to a set of Yokohama Geolanders, which come with these wheels. They were very well worn when we got them, and we just run them down to pretty much the blobs. We pretty much ate most of the rubber out of them just to save a bit of money. You can go and watch that mini review, I'll leave it in the description, or a pop-out tag somewhere, probably there or there, if you're on a mobile device. I personally like to do reviews at different times through a tyre's life, because at the end of the day, and it could be the same for this tyre for all I know, after a year ownership, it could be fantastic when they're all new, shiny, pretty much, soft rubber, everything's fine. And then you get years down the line, 2 or 3 years down the line, the rubber might go hard, or it might turn hard, might get noisy, just might be rubbish, and you might end up scrapping tyres for all we know after 2 or 3 years, even though there's plenty of tread. You never know what's going to happen with the rubber construction on tyres. So there'll be a follow-up video to this later down the line, don't know when, but I'll do another follow-up video to let you know how we're getting on. A few stats to kick off with. The standard tyre size on a Freelander 2 is 235/65 on a 17-inch rim. This video is just going to deal with 17-inch rim, not any others, because that's what we have on this car. We've got 245s on this car, 245/65 R17, so everything's the same apart from the first number, 235 versus these that are 245. I'm pretty sure the 245s will fit onto a standard Freelander 2. I mean, we've got wheel spacers, lift kit. I think that 245s you can just put onto a standard rim on a standard Freelander if you so desire, but don't quote me on that. Go and do your research, maybe ask in the comment section below. Maybe someone else has got a 245 tyre, sorry, on their car that's standard. So ask in the comments, ask on forums, ask on Facebook groups. They're fonts of information and knowledge. But I'm pretty sure if you put a 245 tyre on a standard Freelander, it won't rub, and I don't think you need spacers. But like I say, don't quote me on that. I'll talk why we went for 245s shortly over the 235 standard tyre that was on this car. We've had these on the car for just over a year. I think we had them fitted back in March 2023, and it's now May 2024 when I record this video. So yeah, we've had them on for a year, and we've done about 6,000 miles ish on them so far. The door card states that a 235 tyre should be run at 32 psi. This is a 245 tyre, so I run it at 36 psi all round. So whether or not that's right or not, I keep an eye on these tyres, and so far it's not showing any ill effects at all from being overpressured. It looks like it's running just nice at 36 psi. And lastly, on this information front, I have no idea what tyre tread depth these come with as standard, brand new, whatever you want to call it, but at the moment these got 7mm left. So if someone knows what they come out with new, that'd be great. Leave it in the comment section below, saying we can work out over 6,000 miles. These are about 7-ish millimeters left, so I'm not sure if that's good wear, bad wear. Hopefully someone can let us know what tread depth is brand new. So on to the actual bulk main bit of the review of this video, and I'm going to start off, I'm going to do little sections, starting off with a visual review on it, because I think to some people visuals can sometimes be more important than how they perform. Some people prefer a good looking tyre over a decent working tyre, for example. That's why a lot of people, they'll have mud terrains fitted to their car, but they'll spend their life probably on tarmac roads, light dirt and rocky surfaces, for example. They won't actually go into any significant dirt, but they kind of fitted because they visually think that the car means business. And I guess to a point you can kind of get that impression. You see a car, see mud terrains fitted to it, the car means business, and I'm sure it goes off-roading in serious climates, and it probably doesn't actually do anything of the sort. I'm not calling anyone out on that at all. I just, you know, there's going to be people out there that buy tyres for looks rather than function. That's where these Falken Wildpeaks are a great middle ground. I personally think they look great without being a mud terrain tyre, so you get all the nice visuals of a mud terrain per se without it being a mud terrain tyre, with it being an all-terrain tyre. Even after 6,000 miles, I don't think they look too shabby overall. They don't look tatty, they don't look too worn. So yeah, so far so good visually. I think these look good. Just to let you know, the difference between a 235, the standard Freelander 2 tyre, and a 245 is you get a tiny bit extra sidewall height and a tiny bit extra on the width. Not a huge amount, it's tiny amounts, but yeah, tiny bit on the sidewall, tiny bit on the width. The Falken Wildpeaks are available as a 235 65 R17 if you so wish. So if you like these tyres but you don't want to go to the 245 size tyre, you can get it in a 235 size as well. So don't think you need to change your tyre size in order to get these tyres. They are available as a 235 65 R17 tyre. But we chose to pay a tiny bit extra per tyre. I think it's like 20 quid extra per tyre, because this is the reason why we went for 245 size tyre. We think it suits the car better personally. They fill out the arches nicely, like the gap in between the tyre and the arch. We think it fills that out quite nicely, and in combination with the Muddy Mods lift kit and also the Muddy Mods wheel spacers that we've got fitted, the 30mm wheel spacers we've got fitted to this car, we think that it brings the tyre out just nice. And also it brings it out probably to the maximum point where you don't have to roll the arches, flare the arches, get arch extenders or anything like that. You can pretty much bolt on and they're as close to the edge of the arch as you can get away with. One thing to note, if you do go for a 245 Falken Wildpeak size tyre, is it does make the speedo quite accurate, and that's both a positive and a negative. While the Freelander 2 speedo isn't exactly out by much, this tyre does bring it to about within 1% of GPS speed. So if GPS is saying you're doing 71, you're probably doing 70 on the speed limiter. The reason why I said it's a positive and a negative is in a 30, if you don't watch your speedo and you creep over a little bit, you probably will be doing that speed. There's no kind of buffer room like you'd get on most cars. Back onto the visual features, one big visual feature of these tyres is the large Falken Wildpeak branding over them. One of the benefits of that, yeah, it protects the sidewalls a bit, but if you're into tyre penning, tyre inking, then these could be a fantastic, because it's large. If you put white ink or something on them, could really make the brand pop, especially if you've got it on all 4 tyres. So if you're into that sort of thing, that could be a big pro to you. We did it on the Geolanders that we had, but once we worked out how much effort and time and how expensive the pens were, yeah, we decided not to do it on these tyres. So we've kept them just in black, and we personally like it that way. But yeah, if you're into tyre penning, that could be a thing for you. Lastly, on the visual front, they have these large side grips on the sidewall, which visually give it a good aggressive kind of look to them, or that's my opinion anyway. I've probably sent the continuity of this video crazy because I've changed my seating position, but my legs were going dead. Much better now. Anyway, we've covered the visuals of these tyres, so let's now talk about how they handle on-road performance, because let's face it, they're probably going to spend most of their time on-road rather than off-road. I'll start off by putting the EU label somewhere on screen, somewhere, so you can see the different ratings that it scored. As you can see from that label, it's quite a draggy tyre overall, as you probably expect being an all-terrain tyre, with it scoring a D on fuel efficiency, and they're very middle ground when it comes to their wet rating. To put a bit of positivity on that though, these tyres are actually on par with the fuel efficiency with their competition with other all-terrain tyres in the same price bracket, the same league, that sort of thing. I'm no audio person, but I think the noise rating of these tyres is actually really good. With them being an all-terrain big blocky tyre, compared to a purely road focused, really expensive tyre in the same size, these are only something like 1 or 2 decibels louder than a pure road tyre, which I don't think is bad at all. But like I say, I'm not a noise geek, I don't really know decibels and all that, but to me that sounds pretty impressive. So purely from a sticker perspective, their on-road abilities are not going to match those of your top end road focused tyre, for example. But from a real world perspective, these have actually been really great to us on the roads. They've gripped when it's dry, they've got rid of a lot of water. It's some pretty horrible, horrendous wet conditions that we've used this car in. And they've also treated us very well when it's been frozen outside and the roads are covered in salt and slime and grime, you know, that horrible condition. We've had no issues with these from a real world perspective. It's actually really hard to judge their on-road performance, because one thing that isn't lost on me at all is the fact that this is a four-wheel drive car, so it can deliver the torque to all 4 tyres, spreading out the workload. On top of that, it's also got Land Rover's terrain response system fitted to the car, which does work on-road. It's not just an off-road thing. So that dials out any wheel slip at junctions, roundabout, that sort of thing. It lends a hand and helps out the tyres, which masks probably some of the downfalls of the tyre. It's also fitted with about 9 million different driver safety features, aids, I don't know what you want to call them, which also helps out on cornering. Also, I think what's worth mentioning is the fact that this is almost a 1.9 ton car. So with all that weight squishing the tyres into the road, they're not going to break traction very easily. So how much is down to great tyre performance on the road, and how much is down to the various ECUs in this car lending a hand? The only way you'd find out is if you could put a gauge on the car, which basically indicates how much the four-wheel drive is helping out. So you can put a set of cheap tyres on, see how much the four-wheel drive helps out versus these, to really gauge an idea. But other than that, it's really hard to judge your on-road performance. You can only judge it from general driving. And to us, they've always gripped. We've never got any slide slips or anything like that. But like I say, how much of that is down to the four-wheel drive system? Who knows? One last point I will make on the on-road performance are they noisy? And the answer kind of is yes and no, which I know is not much of an answer. Are they noisy compared to a purely road-focused tyre? Probably fractionally. Do you notice any humming or droning from their all-terrain nature? No, not at all really. If you do, you quickly get used to it. It becomes white noise. You dial it out in your head eventually if there is any noise. I mean, I personally didn't hear anything different when changing from the Geolanders to these, but yeah, more sensitive people with more sensitive ears might say that these are actually a really noisy tyre, but I know from my perspective they're not noisy at all. Plus, any noise that there is there, you can soon dial out with a radio or CD, if kids these days even know what CDs are. But yeah, stick a CD on, put the radio on, and to be fair, I think you get more noise from the old big lump of an engine underneath the bonnet than you are going to be from these tyres. So we've covered how they look and how they perform on-road, so now let's talk about how they perform off-road. And in case you've not seen any of our videos before, and this video just so happens to have come up via a search or via YouTube's great powers of algorithm, then these tyres, we've subjected them so far to slippy, Welsh, rocky, slaty lanes, easy for me to say again, muddy and stony Shropshire hills. We've done multiple laps across Billings off-road courses at Muddy Weekender. We've done 2 separate full days at 4x4 day site in Vinegar Quarry. We've done a day at Avalanche Pay and Play, and just to put the cherry on the icing of the top of the cake, we've done some local green lanes around this sort of area. So there's been subject to quite a lot of different off-road conditions. While we may not have thrown our car every single obstacle we could possibly throw it at, because at the end of the day we do have to drive this home after all these events, we have given the tyres a lot to think about at times. To these days, these tyres have not given up on us when we're off-roading and left us high and dry. Even when Alana took this car through the deeper, more muddy side at Billings Mud Run during Muddy Weekender, we were sure the car was going to get stuck. We prepped the towing eye and the rope and everything like that because we were sure it was going to get stuck. Alana said her normal line of YOLO, you only live once, and off she went. Credit to the tyres, I mean credit to Alana as well for keeping her foot in there, but a lot of credit to these tyres. They kept digging their way through the sloppy, porridgey mud and dragged almost 1.9 tons of Freelander 2 through it to the other side. In case you're watching this video because you want to switch from a more road-focused tyre like we did onto any sort of all-terrain, not just this one in particular, one thing I will point out, and I don't think it's unique to this tyre, but just almost how soft, flexible and squidgy the sidewalls are compared to a road tyre. When you're used to a road focused tyre, it can almost look like the tyres are underinflated on appearance. As you can see from this kind of bottom area, almost looks like they're just running lacking air. To my non-geeky tyre mind, I can only assume it's to allow for compliance in the tyre and to almost mould itself to any off-road terrains it comes up against. This then, I'm assuming, avoids punctures and tearing the sidewalls like a stiffer construction from a road tyre could suffer from when it's taken off-road. Talking of sidewalls, let me take you to the side grips of these tyres. As much as visually I do think they look good, functionally they have their own purpose. They're there to grip in the really muddiest of muddy conditions, but they're also to fend off any sharp obstacles that come up against the sidewalls. They're the bit that pokes out the most, and it's there to fend off anything sharp. They're not going to do the impossible. I mean, if something is sharp, it's going to tear the sidewall regardless, but it's almost like a second line of defense that a lot of tyres don't have. Even some all-terrains don't really have these, so almost every little helps comes to mind. So in conclusion to all of this, these tyres are great on-road, and Alana and I cannot fault them when it comes to their off-road abilities. One of the main reasons we switched these tyres was actually their price point. When I checked, they were actually cheaper than BF Goodridge's and General Grabbers, which I see as being their main competition. Plus, I personally think they look better than Geolanders that we had previously. They're a great fit and almost forget type of tyre. We inflate them to 36 psi, like I say, and we keep them there. Whether that's for on-road use or also off-road use, we don't worry about airing them up or down. 36 psi, we drive to whether it be Wales or wherever we're going, we hit the beaten tracks, we don't have to worry about airing them down. I think the only time I aired these down was at Muddy Weekender, and that was only because we were there for the weekend, and I thought, why not? See if it changes the dynamics of the tyre. Did it? I personally don't know. I don't think so. Even if we kept this car purely for on-road use only, we'd probably still fit these all-terrain Falken Wildpeaks to it. There's something nice and comforting, like a comforting type of feeling about having a car with tyres on it that can face all the British weathers, whether it be sun, snow, rain, hail. I mean, we've not used these in significant snow so far, but in all the conditions we have used them in, they've worked fine. So there's something really comforting knowing the car's ready to go for all occasions. We do have a set of rims with Goodyear Wrangler tyres on it, and the whole concept was going to be that when we weren't off-roading, these were going to come off and be stored in a shed or something, and we're going to stick the road set on and wear them down when we're doing road miles. But these have actually been so good to us on road, we've just left them on the car and we just use them all the time, on road, off road, whatever. So if you're looking for an all-terrain tyre to try, I mean, you might have an all-terrain on and you're thinking, oh, I fancy a change, what's out there? Then we can definitely recommend the Falken Wildpeak tyre. But like I say, that's only after a year of use. Our opinion might change later down the line. I wouldn't have thought so, but it could. But at the moment, we'd definitely recommend these. If you're weighing up between mud terrains and all-terrains in general, then unless your work or your life involves mud, and you're going to be doing some decent miles in it, then go for an all-terrain set of tyres. Mud terrains really do struggle outside of diggable terrains, but I guess that's the clue in the name of the tyres, mud terrains. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and if possible, if I can ask a favour, can you leave a like on this video? It'd be much appreciated if you liked it. And keep an eye out into the future for another update video. Until the next video, I'm going to say bye for now. I meant to splat the camera, but I can't reach it because it's all the way over there. So I'm just going to do a fade to black while I wave. Goodbye.